Hello and welcome to episode 11 of Not Again with Sandy. In this channel, I share mistakes I've made in sweaters that I've made in the past. I talk about possible solutions, root causes, things that I learned. If you're a knitter, maybe you've been here too. I usually start out with my works in progress. And the first one I want to share with you is actually now a finished object. I finished the sweater I was making for my youngest grandson. This is a flax sweater from Tin Can Knits, which is a free pattern. And they have, I don't know if you know this, but Tin Can Knits has its own app. I've used it now for the last couple flax sweaters I've made. And what I like about it is when you indicate your options as to which size you're making, what length you're making, what sleeve treatment you're making, it just tailors the whole pattern to what you've decided, and you don't have to sort out sections or sizes as you're going along. I think it was really well made. Next next work in progress, I have started now the next sweater. This is for my older grandson, so this is going to be a little bigger. This is a size 8 to 10, and the one I made my younger grandson was a 2 to 4. Whoop, and of course I'm losing my stitches because that's what happens when I pick things up. Yeah, so I've gotten, I'm working on the increases. Here's the sleeves with that garter treatment, and I think I've got probably a third more of increased stitches to go before the yoke is done. I'm going to knit the yoke until it's 7 inches long, and I think I'm only at maybe 4 or 5. Yeah. But it's going well. All right, my next work in progress is, take my needle or my hook out. This is the Afghan I'm making for my oldest grandson. Now, when I had, I just keep getting caught in the yarn. When I had shown it to you last, I was in this navy section, and I have completed the variegated section, which really was very nicely distributed color-wise. I was happy about that. I was worried it might pool a little bit, and I wouldn't like that. And I have started on the offsetting navy section, and I will work back then through all of the colors that I have made. So yes, this is coming along. It's getting big enough now that it's hard to sit it on my lap and work on it. It's like I'm just constantly arranging it. But I am, I guess, over halfway on both of my projects for Christmas. So that's a good feeling, but I also feel pretty confident I need to work on these every single day to make it by Christmas time. So fingers crossed and wish me luck. Okay, let's talk about the sweater for today. The sweater for today is the Victory Cardigan by the Woolly Thistle. I want to make sure I said that right. Now, I haven't looked, but I assume this pattern is not available on Ravelry because this is their own pattern. They have several patterns. And I think you can buy the pattern. I think you can buy the kit where they supply the yarn. And I know they also provide, for an extra charge, and it's nominal really, access to all their video tutorials. So if you have questions as you're going along with the construction of your garment, then hopefully those will answer any questions you have. I think they're also available in person if you need any help. So here is, forgive me for not buttoning it, but here is, oops, doing a poor job holding this up. Here is my Victory Cardigan. I don't know if you can tell, but there's a little waist shaping here, and it's really a cozy, warm sweater. I just am very happy with it. And the instructions were very, very good. And I don't think I even needed the video tutorials. I think I looked at one, but it was nice knowing they were there. And I think I only gave like $20 extra to be able to have those, which was worth it to me to be successful in knitting something. like this. Now the wool that they sent me is a natural wool. It's not superwash. And there's a reason for that. This sweater had a steek on it. And that was one thing I wanted to learn. This was the reason I picked this as my next project, so I could learn about steeking. So you may be saying to yourself, what is a steek? And if you do say that, I'll feel not so alone, because I had not heard of steeks for probably up until just like 3 years ago. I'd never heard of what a steek is. So what is it? A steek was a method that helps in 2 different situations. It helps the knitter continue knitting in stockinette in the round at any point in the garment where there would normally be an opening, like the front of a cardigan, like a sleeve, like a neckline. And that is efficient in time, because most people find that if you are working with those openings, which means then you have to knit one side and purl the next, that becomes time consuming. Purling is generally considered not to be as quick as knitting. And anytime you are switching your right side and wrong side, you are taking up time getting arranged and doing that. The second reason is that when you're doing stranded color work, it is really challenging to do a right side row with a pattern and colors, and then do the wrong side row purling it and staying in pattern. Stranded color work, especially the Fair Isle variety, has many motifs that stack on top of each other. So each row of the pattern can be different than the row before. If it were just stripes, then that would not be so difficult to do a purl version going back. You would know when it was time to change your color. But when you're doing Fair Isle knitting of any kind, or a pattern, a yoke pattern, whatever, that's going to be more difficult to do if you have to stop and switch sides. A steek allows you just continue going in the round with your knitting always on the outside, and it goes faster. It goes faster, and it's more accurate and less frustrating, I'm sure. So physically, what a steek looks like is it's just a break in the knitting. It's like an added set of stitches. For mine, it was 2 purl, 3 knit, 2 purl, and then back to the pattern. And you just maintain that all the way up. Now, once you've finished your knitting and you're ready to open up that opening, there's a special process that goes with that. For me, what happened was I took a smaller type of yarn, I think it was fingering, and I crocheted, single crochet, up one side of the knit stitch on the outside, and then starting a new chain down the other side of the knit stitches outside the middle stitch. And then that stitch in the middle gets cut half, or right through the middle of the V with sharp scissors. This is where the natural wool comes in. Natural wool has scales on those fibers, and they lock together like Velcro. If you were to use superwash wool and cut that, even with, every precaution you could think of, it would be much more likely to ravel than natural wool is. This is another reason why color work which is often done with natural wool, lends itself to steeking. Okay, when you have cut that, and let me tell you, it's a little nerve-wracking, but it happens quickly, and if you've prepared it, as I discussed, you should be fine. Those flaps just bend back behind the knitting, and you can then pick up the stitches on the folded over edge for your button bands. It really worked so much more easily than I expected. And let me show you how it looks. So here was the part of my steek that bent back, and then on the edge of that I picked up the stitches for my button band. These are just where my buttonholes are. I can show you the other side, exactly the same. You're going to ask me now, well, what was the problem then? Why is this part of your series? Well, and I don't know why this happened, but particularly up here at the edge of the neckline edge, this part did not want to lay down. It was kind of popping up and you know, not laying down as I wanted it to do. Now, there are people I've seen on videos that have used a needle and thread of a matching thread, and they have tacked this down, you know, by just putting a few stitches here and there to tack it down, or they have actually just very lightly sewn it to the knitting, being careful not to let it show on the outside. What I did, I used fabric glue. I just glued it down. I just put enough on there so it felt like it was going to set, and then I put heavy books on it on the table, and it has stayed really well. I just found a little place here where you can see it unravel just a little bit, but it's not going to go anywhere because it's glued down. So yeah, I don't think that that's recommended. I don't know that I would recommend it for you, but it worked for me. And I've had no problems with this sweater ever since. Oh, I was going to share something about my my sweater with my grandson. You know, you talk about these mistakes and you think, okay, I've got this solution free in my mind. When I was knitting this green sweater for my youngest grandson, I did it again. I looked at the number of sets of rounds I was supposed to do during the increased rows for the yoke and mistook them. I thought when they said do 3 of these, I thought they meant 3 more rather than the set that they had just walked me through and then 3 total. And when I looked back, it actually said 3 total. But I ended up doing 2 rounds more than I should have because I didn't look to the very next line and see how many stitches I was supposed to have in each section. And I was tracking my stitches by section as I've shown you. So yeah, that was disappointing. I thought, okay, this isn't going to happen to me anymore, but it did. However, when I got to the sleeve decreases, I did catch that before I did more decreases than I was supposed to. So maybe there's hope for me yet. Thank you so much for joining me.